quarterfinals of WardiTV 2020. Starting us off in the top left, our blue Terran player is Clem.
In the bottom right, as the red Zerg, is Solar.
Very exciting second series of the day, and again, we are just playing the quarterfinals today. Tomorrow will be the semi-finals and the finals. But it may be nice to do all the playoffs in one day, or like all the round of 8 on in one day, but there's also Koreans who want to go to bed before, 4 a.m., so gotta compromise a little bit,
Look at this drone. Oh, he's...
I missed it. I was on the base.
It was follow.
Oh, he was on follow?
Yeah.
They just want to be friends.
Yeah, well, that's like 30 minerals gone. Okay, Wardy, like, his pool is 2 seconds late.
Didn't get the memo. Zerg is unbeatable. It's fine.
Yeah, it's totally fine. But yeah. This is going to be the I think what everyone's kind of looking forward to, because we have this really hype up and coming name Clem against this Zerg player who is no longer up and coming, but who is really situating himself as one of the best Zergs in the world, in Korea, what have you. So I think people are really excited for this. And then, of course, I think we have some hyperbole going down, but I like it, so I'm going to say it. But the new coming of Maru, right? Comes the new Maru. Apparently what's happening here.
Yeah, it's exciting times. Clem's just gotten better and better. And while he's not, super consistent at the highest level, he is still, always in these online events, qualifying through to the next rounds. You never see him dropping out in groups or anything. Just sometimes he loses a match in the playoffs where you're like, well, actually I would have had Clem there over another guy, right? And offline events is something which we need to see more from Clem of this year, I guess. But Clem really has a lot of potential this year. He's been killing it. I mean, his performance in this event so far, 3-1 a laser, 3-1 showtime to top his group and get to the round of 8. Those are two bigger, you can't really name two bigger people in Europe outside of, Cyril and so on, right? Maybe a laser's not been as great lately, but he's a former, he had top 2 GSL versus the world last year, right? 4 or 5 months ago? So, yeah, I'm kind of killing it.
I think it's a little bit longer than that. But yeah, I'm with you, though. I'm with you.
What, GSL versus the world? August?
Yeah, it was in
It was in
August?
August?
It was in August.
5 months?
Thought it was in July.
Yeah.
You're right. It was,
maybe
it was in
like
August,
5.5, 6. I guess.
Anyways. But it was kind of one of those weird things where it's an amazing result that everyone wondered, is it just a flash, right? And I guess you could definitely argue it was. His Montreal performance was, you didn't get top 2, didn't get top 4, but anyways, it was a very good performance. And for Clem, he's consistently beating guys that I think otherwise he would show his because he's been a very unstable player. It seems to be kind of like what happens to almost all the young Terrans a lot of the time. There's a lot of overconfidence, a lot of multitasking, but maybe not a lot of great decision making. So you kind of get those skewed tournament results where it's oh, but he beat that guy yesterday. Look what happened. And now he's really leveling out and just being an overall really good player that you can again depend on is a big thing for me. And that's why I'm super excited to see Clem get advanced further in online tournaments and see him in IEM Katowice, which he's going to be attending even though he didn't qualify.
Yeah, he'll be there, and honestly, I feel like one of the players that can absolutely make it out of that open bracket as well. So definitely going to be exciting to see him there. As you have this Overlord going to get shot down, so Overlord going to die in the main base, but does get in to see the stim pack already starting. This is a bit of a different way of playing into that bio than what we saw Uthermal doing a lot of. This is just going to be getting that Liberator up. And so I guess it's kind of, similar to what Uthermal did on the first game, right? Liberator and Hellions just straight into bio. But not that kind of super fast 3cc or anything. One of the more standard ways of getting into bio, basically. Just a bit of a Liberator into the main base, setting up a siege. There's no spores or anything just yet in the main, so actually this Lib could do something. Sees a spawn, the third, he'll actually just siege up to the side of that for the moment. Helene's not finding a way in either.
It is very similar to the Uthermal game, but in this case, there wasn't as much damage taken on the Hellions because Clem didn't even really try.
Yeah.
And they poked in and was like, nope. And then the Liberator did not take as much damage either because he was aware of the Spore Crawler placement. So, I mean, it's nothing. Basically, we're talking about nothing, but an important nothing because it could have been a lot of something. Otherwise, Clem is macroing very well, and Solar is also macroing well. You go for the faster to evolution chambers, figuring out very quickly what this was, what he's up against, no question marks like battle cruisers, what have you, because that was a problem from Solar versus Cure, if I recall. A couple games where he was just like defaulting to one build or another, and actually being a little surprised by it.
Yeah, no, it was absolutely just like a couple of times he just got caught a little bit off guard, and it wasn't quite kind of the setups you'd expect him to be able to kind of get up into, and he just took way too much damage early. Now, this is kind of interesting because obviously this Libera is still alive, so it's still a threat on the map, right? And so it's something Solo has to keep paying attention to. Now these first units pressing out, Solo's lair is only just finishing, right? So he's only just going to start Bane speed now, which means you don't have Bane speed until like 7:30 in the game. Which means you probably have, if this 1-1 push comes across, which it very much, very is likely to do here on Nightshade, a very good map for pushing, it's going to be kind of scary for a little while you don't have that Bane speed, yet 1-1 and combat shields are finished. So we'll see.
You're absolutely right about that.
Yeah, we'll see what Clem can do with it.
People, what?
Oh, no, not the Hellions.
Sucks. Because they wanted those Banelings so bad. And the Marines also wanted them, but now going to get surrounded. Ah!
Wow.
Taking the blast away at the Banelings at the very least, so he's going to be able to pick up.
Yeah, that was a really nice target fire at the end on the Banes.
Yeah.
Well, that was a disaster kind of averted. Like, it could have been so much more, though. If those Lings don't get surrounded right away, and he sets up that sort of damage on the Banes, etc., like, those Lings die. And Solo's in a lot more trouble. At the same time, this Liberator is back again, finally getting 3 kills. It's, I mean, just impressive, right? You just come back in, you get a couple extra kills. It's adding up over the course of the game, so he's getting way more value than what Youth Thermal got against Ragnarok, for example, because, you know, he's keeping it alive. He doesn't just lose it the first time he flies in there.
They ended up really making something out of those Hellions dying earlier on. It was definitely scary, but the push does not stick, which is, you know, some of the other scary scenarios where the Zerg tries to push it back quickly, and then it actually barely survives. Now they still have a big problem. No, Solar pushed it back, has to deal with the drop. Will have a follow-up, but as he gets his 4th base set up, starts his upgrades, and should have replenishing Banelings. There we go now.
Liberator getting even more kills. I just feel like every time I start to talk, this Liberator is back in position, picking up another couple of drones. And yeah, it's not like the most damage you've ever seen, but it does add up. Clem, 8 racks. No gases on the 3rd base. We've kind of seen this one all before. This really has become a huge talking point for Terran players as of late. As Solo gets supply blocked here, losing an Overlord. He's got 4 more on the way, but it does slow him down, producing a few units for a moment.
Clem. He's got a billion IQ, all right. Look, he like moved his units towards his natural as the Lings came, because he was like, well, where's the run by? Because it's so common to do a run by.
Yeah.
That was sick.
He's playing really well at the moment, actually. I like what he's doing as well. Like, he's keeping up pressure by not being too overcommitted, just sitting on the edge of creep. It's very scary for Solo to fight this because he doesn't know how much is there. He's going to come around here now, and he's going to look, but he gets hit by a tank, although he should be able to sell us only 1 tank, right? So he's going to be like, well, maybe I can do this, but then the reinforcements show up, and now, you know, now it's still a bit scary from Clem, but he's still going to be playing pretty passively because he's just waiting for 2-2. Solo going Fueling Bane as well, by the way, and if he can get to Hive and Ultras, etc., that's great, but I just don't see how he's going to find the time to do that while Clem's sitting on the front doorstep.
I feel like Solar could take an okay fight here. He's still got some creep spread when the Marines go a little too far forward, and he does have a pretty good surrounds. You know, maybe coming from the right side as well would be the best. He's just waiting for his own 2-2 to finish, which literally finishes now as Clem's 2-2 also finishes. I mean, as long as he's not losing the 4th base, he should take all the time in the world and hope he catches a point where Clem doesn't have his reinforcements on the front line. Actually catches some Banelings, or the Marines with the Banelings, so he's going to go for it now, and it is going to be a cleanup. Good tank fire once again, trying to catch whatever Banelings he can. And the Marines are going to escape as the reinforcements come in. Oh, he has to pick up. It's okay, good pickup, good pickup.
Yeah, he's able to keep a lot bit alive. Widow Mine is going to get burrowed as well, and might even catch some Zerglings still. No, got some burrowed. Clem did build a 4th base, though, so he's kind of saying, okay, I'm not going to break you with this. I'll start to take a 4th. I'll start to think about my future in this game rather than just being completely all in with this, you know, with this entire army. So, as we see this pushing forward, we're going to see some Ling Bane running at him as well. Solar pushing through here. The Marines splitting backwards and just dodging away for some shots once more for the moment. As you do see the rest of this Ling Bane gathering back up together. Nice counterattack this time, though, before Planetary is ready. This time Solar's actually going to start dealing some damage, and the command center needs to lift off here. Okay, he doesn't, but he does get the repairs in time.
It was scary. Those two lings were pretty effective against buildings. Even before Adrenal, which should be on the way. Solar did finish that hive during all of that pressure. Like, it was good pressure, but it wasn't killing the base, and it wasn't so scary that Solar, you know, like barely traded out, right? That actually ended up being a good swamp and complete just pushback of Clem. So he even gets a chance to try and plant like 1 or 2 more creep timbers, which I think he just didn't have a lot of queens. I think maybe they died. He's replacing them now. So the creep is actually stunted for now.
You see Clem kind of poking in the front, the left side. These Marines going to lift up and get back. Clem pulling away. In general, Clem's going 3-3, obviously, kind of expected. He's also getting a second factory, but he doesn't really have the gas to use it just yet, unless he's only just going to go Widow Mines, I guess, which isn't so gas heavy. Just surprised he doesn't add on extra gas on that third base now that he's got a fourth, just to say, hey, well, you know, you're probably getting into some tech of your own. I might need to start making my way into some more tech myself, such as, like, Liberators, for example, will help a lot against these incoming Ultras. So I'd just like to see those gases at this stage, because he isn't really all in anymore, right? Like, he's definitely got to follow up. He's building a 5th base, so yeah, get those gases, because you're going to need to afford those tech units sooner rather than later.
I'm with you. Like, it's also just, he's literally stopped medevac, like starport production, sorry. So I think you do need all those gases for Marauders, starport production, and Widow Mines, which you're right, not a lot, but still something. And he's finally getting them now at his 4th base, actually, as he adds on the 2nd starport. But playing very dicey games here. You know, this bio ball, Solar so desperately wants a big surround, because if he gets a surround, it doesn't matter if it's Marines or Band, it's going to do some serious damage. But he just barely can't grab it, and he's been paying so much attention to the main fight. This drop actually gets a lot of damage on that hatchery. Gets a nice little spot here as well to take down as many lings as possible, but then Clem starts paying attention, and that was it.
Yeah, he's pushing forwards on the right side again. It's a really nice parasitic bomb, but Clem responds immediately, pulling the hit medevac back. Really just relying on these Widow Mines that brought up. He's about to hit +3 attack, so as Ultras come out and get kindness, that's great, but actually without the +3 carapace, they're still not like the tankiest they can be yet. So there's still some hope here, as Clem might just want to lift up and leave from this one, let the Widow Mines do what they can do, which is cleaning up quite a lot, honestly. Pulling back now. This is where he's got SimCity to help him out. This is really where I think Liberator production becomes big. He does in the end take gases on the right side, but he's only just taken them and he's not put extra workers in yet. And he really needs that gas. It's going to be only more and more of an issue now, as he really needs to start getting more and more tech units, because there's already multiple Corruptus on the way. So you don't get away with just 3 or 4 libs. You need 6, 7, 8 so that they get damage done throughout the fight, even when the first couple go down.
Yeah, I do agree. It does change up the way you play, though, which might not be what Clem's, like, wanting to do right now. When you start adding on those Liberators, you maybe even think about Ghosts. Maybe you start adding in tanks as well with that 1 Tech Lab factory. Like, it changed. You're going to be defensive, all right? You're going to have to very slowly push because you have the siege units. So maybe he doesn't want to play that way, but he did get pushed all the way back home. Now he's going to have a really good concave as he splits over to the right side as well. Splits his medevacs, too. And the planetary might eventually finish. I can't believe Solar actually pushed into this, but he's doing enough damage, I guess, to be warranted. And it's so far on the Terran side of the map that he can just, you know, remax before Clem can do anything. Yeah,
there's a couple Ultras on this right side. The Marauders pick off one of them, and the other one is just about going to survive in the end. The Corruptors got rid of pretty much every medevac too. And this is where Clem suddenly, okay, he does have double stuff, which is going to have to rebuild some medevacs. Again, he's very much so gas stuff, though. I know I keep harping on about it, but he really has only just started to properly mine gas, and it's at a time where he's about to run out of gases in the main base as well, so he needs to keep gas going. He does set up on the 5th base as well. That's just good to see, because it really was one of the things holding him back. It's +3 carapace finishing from Solar. That will help him out in some of these fights. He lost a few drones somewhere around the map, but also he didn't stop +3 melee, so he's actually going to be missing an upgrade, which would still help him out a little bit, although carapace is definitely the more important one.
It's a decent shot. Once again, off creep into a concave, but Solar, if he was confident enough to continue that attack around that 5th, then his confidence knows no bounds to me, man. Because
yeah.
If it was at all on creep, if it was like more of a choked in army, then like you can imagine that Solar actually won right there instead of just trading out. But it was actually a very good even trade, as they both stayed at a relatively similar overall supply. Solar, though, is adding on so many upgrades, trying out on tech, that he has lost his bank. So, you know, I think there's a lot of situations where Zergs would be the 2,000 right now, but Clem is just keeping up the pressure.
Bio pressing forwards again here as you do see the Widow Mines getting a few initial shots off, not doing so bad at all. Liberator showing up, but man, there really isn't much to kind of support this Liberator, right? There's so many Corruptors in the skies. Clem is going to get pushed into here. He has such low HP on all of these units because he hasn't got any medevacs, and that might kind of come out to be his bigger issue in this entire game right now. The fact that he just can't heal up the bio units, which he's got. Can't really get as much value out of those as he'd usually be hoping for. Overseer is actually causing friendly fire by setting off the Widow Mines, and the next Overseer, actually a few Widow Mines going off there and helping out a lot. But now you need to get rid of these Ultralisks, and there's just like a little bit of bio, and again, without proper support, without proper healing, it's very tough to actually get rid of these Ultras right now.
I mean, if he had proper healing, there might be like double the amount of Marauders here, which makes this kind of a bit of a throw from Solar. It might still end up...
Yeah, he's going to go a bit too far, right.
The Lings come in and certainly help things out. Widowmine splashes back, and it is, again, one of those situations where Solar's on his side of the map. But I just pointed out, like a minute ago, Solar does not have a bank. This overconfidence usually comes from having 80 drones on 6 bases continuously mining, and it's actually been a lot of denied mining with a couple Liberators. Solar actually might just be throwing this a little bit by being so overconfident and like losing those Ultras to a bio and a choke. This is suddenly turned. Like Clem went from being almost dead there, getting swamped like he did, to well, pushing again.
Yeah, down the bottom he comes. This Queen. It was across the map for some reason, and so Nelly made it home as a Widow Mine connects on the Corruptor, doesn't get the kill. It just keeps those Corruptors low as well, and if at any point these Marines get on top of these Corruptors, they're going to melt, because they are just unupgraded, and they have absolutely no HP left on them, some of them. And as the first Ultras there take a lot of damage too, and there is only 2 Ultras on the map, so you have to be very careful of those. The Queens come in to transfuse them. Widow Mine's going to start getting a few shots off to start this. One of them didn't go off there. I was almost convinced it would. And Solar backs away down the ramp. This is a maxed out Clem against a 160 supply Solar. Widow Mine dropping for 8 drones on the bottom 6 o'clock base. And of course, coming around this right-hand side, might be able to get some creep, might be able to position on this 4th base again. There we go. Fight comes in from Solar right now. Comes in from the bottom side. Bio starts kiting backwards. The Widow Mine's already going off and getting some good connections. Banes will attempt to flank, but they won't do anything just yet. And Clem is just out of there. That Overseer causing so much friendly fire.
Flipping Overseers, man. Flipping Widow Mines. Oh, God. He does go back into reinforcements and tries to get a concave, but this might have been the fight that Solar was looking for. All that splashing, which is so painful to see, and all the medevacs keep going down, because the Marines certainly don't have time to try and target down those Corruptors. So I think like 5 medevacs went down. This time finally hitting the economy a little bit, but Clem actually kind of sneaks a base to the left side. Once again, the situation where all he has to do is hold, and Solar's on a composition that is very good at throwing away their units, right? Once the Lings are gone, the Ultras are much easier to kite and focus fire down.
I mean, a couple of good Widow Mine shots here and there, and this, composition gets turned around already. The Queens are a big part of this, but they're out of transfusions now. The thing is, the Queens don't retreat. The Queens die. They do not get back home in this scenario, so as far as Clem's concerned, he's getting a lot of good kills here on the follow-up. And Clem has got a lot of money in the bank all of a sudden. He's been muling up a base. This base sneaking to the left side is really huge, right? Because that's so easily shut down from Solar. But if it mines, it's just money that Clem shouldn't really be getting. He tries to planetary the top right, which will be caustic sprayed. That does mean the Corruptors are going to be out of position. And actually, Solar's going to go top right. Clem's heading bottom left. He's going to pull away from that. And some of these hatcheries from Solar are low as well, right? They're very easily, like, a drop on this bottom side, for example, would do a lot to just shut this down very quickly and easily, I think.
Agreed. Yeah, he's been trying to do little bits here and there, so that we're not even, like, I see on the mini-map one little blue dot, and it's like a Liberator, or like that Widow Mine drop. There is still stuff happening harassment-wise. It's just, it's understandably very difficult for any one of them to get, like, a lot of damage done with harassment.
This fight, though, I mean, these Ultras are kind of on their own. The Lings and Banes don't even properly support them, so 3 Ultras go down very quickly. The issue is there's just nothing properly, again, propping up those Ultras there, and now there's not Queens to transfuse them like there was in the previous fight on the top left. And Solar has to pull back down to the bottom. Corruptors out in the center, and just going to be seeing Clem continue to wander around in the middle of the map here, looking to try and find a way in to the bottom of the base, to the bottom bases, trying to find a way to deal some more damage here. It is 6 base against 6 base if they hold on like this, although Solar will get bottom left, and that'll be base 7. It's kind of important to note, just again, a little bit of a Ling Bane attack coming through, and Clem just pulls back towards some Widow Mines.
Nicely done. He did start to have a gas problem once again because his third base was destroyed. That was, put him back down to 4 gas geysers. So he's trying to get back up to 7, actually. Well, make that 6 because this base is definitely dead.
Yeah, too much. But at the same time, Solo's bases are dead. He's going to lose not just 1 base, though. He's going to lose 2 bases. And one of those bases has got a lot of drones mining on it, and he's probably going to lose all those drones as well. This is not the kind of game where you can just rebuild like 15 drones or so. Clem, I kind of like to see him just committing some bio to chase down those drones, because he should be able to escape up the top anyways, I think. He's going to get off creep. Maybe don't go like super top right corner, but like, you know, getting a few of these drones, because it is tough for Solo to replace drones at the moment. Clem now going to hit the bottom left as well, so he's really striking everywhere. He's pulling Solo apart as this game stretches out across the entirety of Nightshade.
Solar was barely remaxing with his expensive composition. Now this is basically all in. He cannot remake 3 hatcheries, and he's back down to his original hatcheries. So the colony's going to be very, very low. 1 parasitic bomb was down on only a handful of medevacs anyways. And there's just so much bio left over to the right side. Who cares if he gets the planetary? He's going to lose his entire army.
Everything dropping down here as the Corruptors are going to get blown up as well. Clem takes game number 1 after 21.5 minutes of dueling Solar across the map. In the end, just a couple of... I mean, just Solar just didn't stay in the right places, right? All of a sudden, Clem just went left, he went right, he went left again. Solar had no bases and he had no chance to rebuild. I feel like it's more... It was intentional for a while, but maybe could have just sorted it out faster at some point, you know?
Yeah, I'm with you. I think there could have been a minute faster on the extra 2 gases. Yeah, at least he could afford to replace his medevacs, because he certainly stopped that at one point.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, what a game, man. It's been a while since we've seen constant back and forth bio action.
Yeah, it's good, right?
And not mech. That's 30. Oh,
Yeah.
That's passive. Oh, I love it. So glad it goes back to it. Thank God for Clem. He spawns in the bottom right is the Blue Terran, Triton.
You know, we have Denver to thank, because when Clem lost to Denver in WSG qualifiers playing mech, he said, yeah, I'm done with mech. I'm going back to bio, so thank you, Denver. Giving us this game indirectly. Top left-hand side, our red Zerg player Solar down by 1. Well, this would be a real kind of... I mean, if Solar loses this here, and we have like Ragnarok as the highest place in Korean Zerg, that is like a bit of a surprise, right over like Solar and Sue. I mean, again, Ragnarok, I guess it's kind of Ragnarok's story all over. People don't expect him to do as well, and then he does that well, I suppose.
Yeah. You know, it was so weird seeing him being signed on Psystorm so long ago.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, really? Oh, sure. Okay. Yeah. And then he had like visa problems. Unfortunately, the plan was to get him into the NA circuit.
Yeah.
But it was unable to be done. So he kind of lingered around the team for a little while, and everyone's like, yeah, well, it kind of sucks. It was not a great pickup. And then what was the tournament where he had like a really explosive result? Was it GSL?
Was it not Katowice? Because he got round to 12 in Katowice.
Oh, you know what? I think you're right. Yeah. Yeah. Everyone's just like, what? Why is his name up there?
Yeah, and then he got a little bit like slapped back by Neeb. But that was like that was last year, right? In 2019. Right. And he got kind of slapped down by Neeb in the round of 12. But that was like towards the end of his like Psystorm gaming time, and I was like, oh, that's why Psystorm have had Ragnarok. And then he went on to get into Super Tournament, round of 16 GSL, round of 8 GSL. You know, it really picked up for him from there.
Exactly. So yeah, you're right. His story is kind of just like, what's his name doing up here? And then he's going to be continuing to improve and constantly getting his name up on the top 8s, top 12s, you know, what have you.
Yeah.
And you guys better start respecting him. But, you know, we're getting a little too far ahead of ourselves. Solar has not lost yet. Solar's been in positions where it's like, oh, is he just not, you know, the best today? And then he brings it back. He's got some good decision-making, good overall tournament skills, ability to change things up, adapt. And, I mean, I'm not... I think there are definitely things that Solar could have done better in that last game. I think that was a... I almost see that as like Solar had played a billion games like it before and knew that at this point I can do this thing and probably win. And it was just Clem like being like, no, actually, I have an extra base than you like more than you expect. I have drops more than you expect, and I have positioning more than you expect, and I probably have Widow Mines more than you expect. You know, this whole sticking on Widow Mine bio thing for literally 22 minutes feels like it's not the most common thing. A lot of times because we don't see TvZ that late, but also just because you usually see like a transfer over into Liberators, right? A typical late game. But it actually ended up doing a lot of damage to all that fodder for the Ultras, which makes the Ultras much easier to target.
Yeah. Just a crazy game overall. There's so many fights you could like go back in and like overanalyze almost for like considering the overall kind of course of the game. As we do see Clem, nice fast 30cc completing with the couple Hellions, the Viking coming up. And it looks like he's just going to play 30cc into bio, of course, so unless he goes for like a very late kind of swap over on that starport to the tech lab, but probably just waiting for 100 gas for the stem, and there it is. So yeah, Clem very much so. He does play mech like once or so in a best of 5, I would say, usually, but typically overall is trying to be a bio player.
Well, it kind of lines up with what Euthermal was actually in the chat after his game. Why don't you go mech? It says mech versus swarm host is a disappointing style to play, and I absolutely can see that. Like playing versus mech, it's a fun sucker.
Yeah.
Fun out of craft. So for mech to face swarm host, it's the same thing. And that's understandable. And then you bring up the Denver thing, which is just hilariously in sync. So there's probably going to be a bit of that. People are going to throw out mech at a test as well as to how the Zerg likes to control it, because not every Zerg's going swarm hosts.
Yeah.
Maybe they should, but not every Zerg is. And just to mix things up. But bio, if it's working, continue doing it. Hellion's actually going to drop into the natural. Nah, there's not. It looked like there wasn't a lot of lings, but they were just hidden in the mineral line.
Yeah, they're just hanging back. They're trying to beat drones right now. They're actually even following a drone. They're trying to learn the movements. Just trying to sink in. 4 extra racks coming in from Clem, of course, off a 3cc, going 4 racks right away. Just, they just kind of get 4th and 5th racks so soon after the 2nd and 3rd. So, engineering bays are already down, and again, just setting up into this. As we have got a few of these Hellions out over on the right side as well. Also just looking to see that's what they might get up to.
He's not someone who just like always sacrifices his Hellions, which is probably the better call. It can get lings and drones, but even if you get like 6 drones, 13, 14 lings, it doesn't seem like it's worth it. Especially if you are going into bio. We don't want to be countered, as your 3rd is a little vulnerable.
Yeah, this 3rd base, I mean, this is again one of those maps where when you get run, if you get run by it on this map, it's always going to come down the right side into this 3rd base, right? Because you're generally going to push through the center, which takes away some of the run by potential. So, I guess sometimes someone dots some lings down the left as well, but it's kind of somehow, it just doesn't happen that often because the natural's usually walled off, whatever. But yeah, it's just one of those maps where you can push on and you get a tank in a good position, you can keep it going. Now, Clem, there's the extra barracks dropping down towards the 3rd base, builds them out over there. And it just means he's just no gassing it just for the moment. So, again, this kind of aggressive style continuing.
Interesting idea to just leave the Hellions back at home. Certainly more worried about those run-bys, which it's basically the part of the build now for Zerg players. They get their 1-1, they get their Bailey Nest, whatever, and then they also make sure to have a ling run-by prepared, which did happen last game. So that's a cool little difference. It's not going to help versus an Overlord drop, though. So Solar also changing it up just the slightest bit.
Yeah, the Overlord drop's really nice. Just, like you said, change it up a little bit, because Clem is so prepared for a run-by. He has nothing in the main base. But of course, I mean, you see it coming into the main base. You can start sending units over. You can pre-pull SCVs. It's only 8 Zerglings, so it's never going to be like suddenly like clean out an entire mineral line right away. Let's Clem on the map, clean out a lot of the active creep tumors and really just keeping the creep very stationary as to where it's been for the last couple moments. So that's nicely done. As look like Solar's maybe going to get a reactor there, and then Lings are badly controlled in the main base, honestly. And now the Ling's going to run by, but the Hellions are here, and this is exactly what Clem's been waiting for with these Hellions, and it's going to pay off for him.
Well, that was about as perfect of defense ever.
Yeah.
And he's still cleaning up creep spread.
Yeah, that's the crazy part. He's still on the map out here, getting damage done. He's going to maybe lose a siege tank unless he drops a couple Marines out. Let's it go down. Yeah, I mean, just going to start pushing now as well, though, with, like, I mean, Solo's trying to go into Hydras. But Hydras are, I feel, it's kind of weird, but I feel like Hydras are one of the weaker units to break through this kind of push because, yeah, they add on damage, they have a utility, but they kind of just build into this idea of, like, tanks are going to cover them quite well, and I'm just not sure how well they're going to do. I haven't seen a lot of people going Hydras against this, so let's see if my mindset can be proved wrong here, I suppose. We do see the Ling Bane setting up Clem already so far forwards. The tank's not even this far forwards at the moment to help out. Really good splits backwards, just leaving a couple of Marines forwards as those tanks get sieged. And here we go, pulling back. The Lings are going to start wrapping around. He needs to start protecting these Marines from the Banelings. He's going to turn, though, and he's going to kill a lot of the Lings. Loses a couple tanks, yes. There's only 2 Banelings left on the map.
That was really close, too. Like, if Clem didn't have just 1 pixel there to send his Marines back, he would have been totally obliterated. Ends up being an okay trade, though, actually, as Solar loses a majority of his Banelings and a lot of his fodder. He did keep the Hydras alive, which, you know, they are expensive if they just get taken down trying to retreat.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's going to continue on, man. Because you got a 4th base on the way, Clem, that is, and he's going to have 2-2 at the almost exact same time as Solar. Ops on 8 barracks, and the plan to transition is there.
I'm so excited. He's taking his gas already.
Yeah. Improvements.
Hooray. It's like that entire game of TY Solar yesterday vindicated me. There's 1 gas, just the exact same. Marines pressing forwards here, still putting on a lot of pressure, and right now 2-2 just finished up, so upgrades are still even, as a drop in the top right is doing quite a bit, actually, forcing some units to peel away as well. The thing is, Clem is so good at controlling these units in a couple different places, so now he's going to drop the natural, and you can see Solar does not really want to run forwards into this, but it's very hard not to, because he's taking so much damage, and the creep is so far back in front of this 3rd base.
Yeah, the real goal of the Zerg, right, is to push this back to a point where they can plant down any creep spread. And this has not happened. He's constantly been on that ledge. And this is it's just so brutal, but Solar, I think, once again, is going to have that moment where he will just have too much, and Clem's going to have some reinforcements back at home, right? Just inevitably how that works. And whether he run buys or gets a full surround, like, I think he will eventually clean this up. It's just that the momentum is really good against Clem, similar to that last game.
We're going to see tanks firing away as Lings and Banes and Hydras setting up. A lot of Marines pulling back a little bit. This is going to be a breakout by Solar, but look how much it cost him. Look at the supplies. Because Clem behind this is 4 bases, 5th base halfway built. He's on a really strong economy. He's 2 workers ahead of Solar. Solar's not got that strong eco you want as a Zerg.
This is very similar to that last game. Like, even down to, like, the medevacs picking up all the Marines.
Yeah.
And, like, the tanks die.
He's going to catch some Banes and Hydras here. Those are the exact kind of units you want to catch in the open like this. That's
exactly,
nice.
and a lot of creep spread. Lurkers are going to be the choice here. Solar, one of the few Zergs I've seen, like, continue using them, I guess, after that kind of initial, like, oh, is this a new thing to do? And then also one that actually can, like, actually win with them. Because I've seen a lot of lame Lurker usage versus Terran. So I'm excited for this. Will he actually get the opportunity to show us what's so strong about it? And is it actually the style you want to do against someone who is so multitasking?
Yeah, leaves Banes for a moment. I'm a little bit afraid because he is obviously on creep initially. Now he moves off a creep. How many Banes are left? Seemingly enough for the moment. The Lurkers will slow him down though, right? You know, if you can get a Lurker or 2 up on this base on the left side, for example, it just takes away that option of pushing that position. And yeah, you might have to reposition a lot, etc. But once you get adaptive talents, Lurkers get a bit quicker too. I kind of like it as a way to slow Clem down. My question becomes, is it just too late to slow him down? He's already maxed out against 170. He's already taken base number 5. No harassment on the map at all from Solar. And, you know, Clem, he's building Liberators already. Realistically, I think the best case scenario is you go Fusion Core and you get Ranged Liberators, because Ranged Libs really just push those Lurker lines back if you need them to.
Yeah, it's going to be, I mean, Clem needs to adapt. Like, you know, laying Baneling Hydra into Hive, not Lurkers, is absolutely a thing. He might be anticipating that more than Lurkers. He might also know that Lurkers is an option and be preparing for that. But if he is, then I would expect him to start doing, a lot of drops, a lot of multi-pronged pressure. Take advantage of a time where they don't have that Lurker burrow. And it is pretty much the thing to do with Lurkers is to get that range first. In this game, you might argue it'd be better to get the burrow speed first. But point is, otherwise, he's got to wait for it. So that's what might have been a time for Clem to really start the pressure. He's trying to. He's got at least 2 attacks on the map. And the lurk count's not very high, but so much for 2 attacks.
Yeah.
He's got 1 attack on the map.
Top right just takes a few too many Banelings to the face, and that's kind of a problem, right? I mean, Clem's been so good, though, like making sure his drops he gets the most out of each of his drops. Sometimes it happens. Sometimes it just gets to the point where you just slip up that one time, and for the moment, that was that one time, as we're going to be seeing Bio fighting here again. Again, off creep, so you can make a lot happen as Widow Mines. Not really very impactful there at all. They did get burrowed, but a little bit late, perhaps. So not much getting blown up. A few drones going down as Widow Mines drop into the 3rd base location. So he gets 8 workers, brings Solar once again back away from that 80 worker count. And denies Solar going up to 6 bases, just keeping him on the 5 base for the moment. Again, the biggest thing here, I think, is just the lack of creep spread from Solar, right? you have no real control of this map, and Clem can go wherever he wants, which has given him the freedom to keep on applying so much pressure.
And he's really adapting to the lurker threat. I mean, he's gotten so many extra command centers, but that's just because he was banking a lot, already maxed out. But notably, he's gone into tanks, some liberators, and just ghosts. Most importantly, that ghost. That's a big change up from last game. Now, as someone asked in chat, it's important to note that ghosts do not out-snipe, not outrange lurkers with snipe. So that dynamic doesn't play out as you would think. Now they have that lurker range upgrade, but they can still, like, they can try and get snipes as they retreat. They can try and get snipes as they burrow. And they can try and, of course, EMP out some of the other units, the infestors, what have you. I'm interested in what exactly Clem are doing with the ghost, but I like seeing him lean into that late game a little bit more with all these gases.
Yeah, I feel like it's not one of those scenarios where you want to go like mass ghost and like play like mass ghost liberate. You want the ghost to be like a support unit to the bio, and you know, you can get some, I think, running away, when Zerg's running away, backing off, that's when you can get some really valuable snipes in, get some extra kills. Maybe you like deal some damage to a lurk and you have to back off, then you can get a snipe off to finish off. Like right here, boom, drops a snipe down, and he's able to just finish off after the bio deals that first hit. So yeah, nicely done so far here, kills the first lurker. Those ghosts already starting to come into play, as we will see a couple units loading up, and they're going to go to the top right again. There's only a bit of Ling Bane in that top right at the moment, so feels like something you can maybe deal with is Solar. Starting to push forwards. Clem has to be careful right now, though, because you can't lose these ghosts and these kind of fights out in the open.
Right. That's a little bit scary as Solar pushes in here. Obviously, the lurkers have that burrow speed. They will be able to jump on top of any units for their siege. They'll help deter any production as you jump on top of at least 3 barracks. Tanks yanked, parasitic bomb on top of 2 units, actually. Looking pretty deadly, and the Marauder drop's gonna be cleaned up by Lings. Not doing what he hoped.
Not really doing anything that he hoped up there. You're going to see some snipes trying to line up a little bit. Some of the ghosts taking some damage here initially. There's just so many lurkers still, so Clem pretty much has to give up this position. Losing the barracks is probably the biggest issue here, because now he's down to just 5 racks. You know, losing the bases sucks, but he does have extra orbitals elsewhere. He does have extra mining elsewhere. But yeah, losing the barracks, really, now you lose a lot of your production. And he's kind of in a position where he's got a lot of minerals, but again, he just can't spend them all at once right now, as you see Clem just about holding on to this, going to grab a couple of hydras that are a bit out of position. And Solar will back away, but again, Clem is just not spending his money.
He's also a little gas starved, didn't get those extra bases on the left side. Unfortunately, his drops, which could have equalized that damage if he had gotten a hatchery or 20 drones, did not end up being successful. And you're right, he definitely has to get back to replacing those barracks. He actually gets on 5 this time, which makes sense for the economy. He'll soon have. Like, losing that third sucked. It was very, very messy, but he still has those left side bases. I really think he needs to up that Liberator count, because the other thing that ghosts are going to be great for are sniping Corruptors, if that's their option, or Vipers, whatever one, against those Liberators. And there we go, now 3 Liberators at a time. That's what he wanted. He was just starved for mineral and gas.
Yeah, a couple of snipes getting cancelled there as the lurkers got the damage onto the ghost. But if you line up enough ghost snipes, right? Like, if you line up 2 snipes on each lurker, then one of them generally goes off, because the lurker splash in this sort of direction doesn't hit 2 ghosts. So... That kind of is how Clem is getting some of these shots off, and gets a couple of the lurkers. And you can see he's approaching being maxed out again, but now Solar, with a good fight before, he's been able to establish a bank. And I don't know why this is an orbital in the bottom left from Clem. Feels like that's a hugely hopeful sort of scenario, as Widow Mines will kind of start going off on lurkers. Nothing too crazy. Again, Clem's just going to back away from this fight sooner than anything else. It's an EMP on the Overseers. Okay, on the Viper as well. Sorry, I didn't see the Vipers in amongst the Overseers. I was like, that's adventurous. Okay, makes a lot more sense. We do see the rest of these units just backing away. Again, Clem just can't stabilize, though, and it just feels like he's losing so much every single time he fights at the moment.
Yeah, and weirdly enough, like, this constant action by him might actually be a downfall. Like, every time he over-invests, like, it's hard to get snipes when you're in a hurry. It's hard to use in your units when you're in a hurry. It's actually easy for Solar to reposition, because Lurker Bro is insanely good. So maybe being this aggressive is actually hurting Clem in this composition. So, I mean, I'm really happy to see the Lurker dynamic in more than just one type of game, or more than just a losing position from the Zerg player. This is really cool stuff.
Ghost getting a lot of valuable snipes there, but again, Clem's just not rebuilding. He doesn't have the money to rebuild, and Solar's maxed out. It does feel, because it's kind of a weird dynamic, because Solar's only just building Ling Bane Lurker because it's working, because Clem's being aggressive. So if Clem slows down, maybe you don't see so much Ling Bane Lurker. Maybe you see Solar change it. But at the same time, it feels like Clem should just slow down against what Solar's currently doing, which is just massing up these units, because this keeps happening. He keeps having to run away at the last moment, and well, this time the Ghosts, I'm not even sure if they're going to get out of here. Banelings are connected in on them. Their numbers are dropping, and Solar is truly going to shut Clem down. After Clem really controlled the earlier stages of the game, Solar just gets those lurkers up, and they were the complete game changer. Bottom right-hand side. Looked like he might have been able to go take this into a 2-0 lead at point student Triton, but was unable to close it out. This is Clem.
In the top left, as the red Zerg, he is Solar. Really changing it up with lurkers. Said that was one of his strengths. And showed it. He was able to change it up. Now Clem has to kind of worry about it. Back of his mind, having to deal with that same style.
Yeah, it's really a weird one. I keep seeing people building ghosts against this, and I'm still not convinced ghosts are the greatest way to go. Like, I really would rather see, maybe, like, I don't mind ghosts, but I feel like you need ranged liberators, especially because they're going to do so well at zoning. And then the ghosts, like you said in the last game, they can get rid of corruptors. I just don't see what the reason not to go ranged libs is for. Yes, they're expensive, but maybe they're not as mobile. But even the Hydras struggle against ranged liberators, right? Like, if you get ranged liberators up, get an upgrade or so on them, the Hydras melt.
Yeah.
So
it can be really difficult.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, like, Solar adapts his composition to that, but it just feels like he doesn't, at least you're forcing him to adapt versus you're just throwing ghosts at him, which are, they're getting a few snipes, but it's costing you so much to get those snipes off.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Liberator range would have been the better add-on there. Again, like, it's about changing the style, I think. Libs are siege units, and that would still be the same idea, but even if you include tanks, which I'm guessing Clem didn't really want to do, but even if you do, like, that at least kind of halts the other parts of the army from attacking into you. It's about that style of positioning versus positioning, or siege units versus siege units, I should say, which is not usually what you have in TvZ. What you usually have is what we had in the first game. And then you almost have to play like a TvT. But Clem could have tried doing, like, really big multitasking, like half his army one side, half his army the other side. I guess with how just ferocious lurkers are, and, like, on some of the smaller maps too, suddenly it flips. Like, having those lurkers always threatening to just actually all of them uproot and go towards your production is also actually very scary. So, as I said, like, I've seen, like, few different games where lurkers just looked really silly. It was just all about the Zerg kind of already behind. They're kind of just turtling. They don't look very good with them. And I was like, what lurkers, right? But then there were some games like Home Stray Cup, right, where we actually saw them being very aggressive and very all over the map, and actually making it look like a very fun TvZ. And that's, I think, what Solar is bringing a little bit more. And Clem's the one that kind of has to adapt. How he wants to adapt, I guess we'll let him decide, because I can't imagine he adapts by going into a more positional, like, safer, slower play. It just doesn't seem in his nature.
No, it's definitely not what Clem likes to do at all, so it will be an interesting one. He delayed this third hatchery a nice amount of time. This one the maps Clem SCV scouts on simply for that ability to then block the hatchery for a while. As the Hellions kind of slip up their chance to kill any drones here, but he does micro them out and away, and they should keep both alive. Oh, it's going to be really close. Nice. Well microed. So yeah, keeping them both alive doesn't matter if they don't get drones, and he'll just send those two home as the other two join up with the Reaper to help protect any furtherlings looking to hunt down. And obviously you don't want to leave, your presence on the map, because you do want to try and double check if anything is coming across. Just look around here, look around there. So that's pretty much just perfect opening from Clem in terms of what he's done and keeping those Hellions alive despite the situation.
And Solar is doing a good job not taking any unnecessary damage.
Yeah.
See macros up here. He can always throw in an attack himself. We did see at least one all-in from, like, every Zerg player we've seen so far, including Solar.
It's true.
In his game yesterday. But it is Stim again in his third TC. No attempted an armory shenanigans, because Solar does skip that Overlord speed sometimes. Didn't skip it this guy. It's actually good he didn't up. And it's just going to be very, very macro. You do you, I do me type stuff.
Really prioritizes the Lair and the Baneling Nest this time rather than the double Evo Chamber, though. So, interested to see what comes of that, perhaps, because that is a bit different how you respond to the bio in the previous games. And he has seen the setup here, which is like, well, stop what was moving over, Rax building a tech lab. It's sort of says, it speaks to the idea of bio. As this Liberator shows up, and that was great, that Liberator as well in the previous game when he opened like this, when he was able to do so much with it. Oh, these Hellions get all the way up this ramp, which means the Lings are running into a bit of a weird spot to try and defend, and a lot of these Lings going down, and this is going to be Clem picking up some early drone kills. He's already picked up a few of the Liberator out on the third base, and now he's going to get a few more on the main. It feels like he really missed the big line of drones there, though.
Yeah. I think now he's more about just like buying as much time as possible, interrupt.
Oh, maybe.
Back was like a little too soon.
Yeah, 11 drones down now. He gets up to 13 kills. Still not bad, though, as this Liberator also survives. So that's also going to be able to come back in again at some point.
Does Solo have enough Lings to threaten the third base, though? I think he does. Certainly threaten it. Like, it's not a ton, but he will... Clem will not get the fastest third CC down. As soon as it's orbital finished, he might have transferred it. If he had the Hellions, maybe he waits a little longer to nail. And then also has to worry about those run-bys a little bit more, because last game, he had that really cool thing we kept the Hellions at home. No one had it for this game.
Yeah, definitely true. And it is a map where that left side run-by is going to be dangerous as well.
Yeah, it does instantly skip over that third. Solar even pulled back, though. Maybe checking for, like... No, he didn't know. He knew it was Nom. So, yeah, just pulls back. Good point about the typical hooks, though, being so much faster. And I was like, there's got to be a reason for that. It seems like he's not so afraid of a two-tank push that, unlike some other Zergs who always instantly gets typical hooks, he doesn't mind getting that 1-1 first. And we can see that it is there's a reason behind that. So they're not going to go for upgrades as fast, gets more safe Banelings, and then goes for a little bit of a risk. We're going some pretty fast Spire play.
Yep, Spire nice and quickly here. So Solo definitely changing up as we will see Lings running into this third. It's kind of interesting to see the Spire from Solo. Wow, the tank blew up 2 mules there. Solo's not really a Spire kind of guy so much in CVT. Like, not that he never goes for it. He goes for a fair amount, but he really is someone who just likes pure Ling Bane. So really to see him like rushing the Spire especially is a little bit strange here. That's a nice lift up from Clem. It's a really good bait. He lifts up like, oh, I'm out of here. Then he drops back down to kill the Cryptium as they spread instantly. That's a really nice shutdown, because again, it can't cancel those Cryptiumers anymore, so that's now energy that has to be spent once again from the Queens if you want to push this further forwards. And a very late 4th base from Solo as well, right? Just no 4th in sight just yet, and that's partly because he's taking up onto those mutas so quick. Doesn't really have the ground army to necessarily take a 4th base safely just yet.
Clem has not seen the mutas, not seen the Spire. He did see the roly-polies and might be wondering why it's a little bit faster on that speed, but...
Yep.
I don't know about that. He is going to evacuate, because I think that was what I was going to lead up to, is like if he just sticks around, he could lose the double drop.
He seems to know, right? He's already started up a Thor. So he's really reading this game very well. You can also just see the differences, because last game he was already pushing with like the first tank or two. This game, yes, there's not as many tank positions you can take like on Triton, but it is just way more passive from the start from Clem. He just knows that if he comes across with the army, he's going to get swamped by those Banelings with speed, etc. So really, Clem playing an amazing game so far in terms of reading the game, knowing what's coming, reacting to what his opponent is doing as well, really not allowing Solo to kind of change the game up too much in his own favor. And for Clem, if he plays like this, he is going to have that big upgrade advantage. That's what you get out of defending these mutas well, and your opponent building into those early and not doing anything with them. Your upgrades are going to be ahead, and realistically, you should have an army to then make use of that.
I checked his vision, guys. It really seemed to be just based off of the style that Solar was playing. Faster typical hooks. Perhaps maybe the map is already something that he kind of was like, well, you might finally throw out some mutas, but no. It was not directly seeing the Spire. So
sometimes you just get that feeling as well, right? Like,
true.
At this sort of level, it's just like it's like the really little tiny things. You're like, man, maybe it's even like the later 4th base, right? Because this is a very late 4th base too, so maybe it's just a bit more proportional. He's like, well, what else could you be doing that's really scary? And like, yeah, it's basically Mutalisks.
Yep. So all those things combined makes it that he's like pretty damn sure. So we saw that Spire, or the shoot the Thor. Spire was getting an upgrade. It's on my mind. So those are going to be well upgraded mutas, and he's still continuing to invest into them as well. But adding on Infestation Pit now. Clem going for a big push. Yeah, that delay in the creep spread, is... Oh, whoa, the push actually... Dang. Solar, I guess he was just hoping that Clem wasn't paying attention. He, ran into the army. That was
Yeah,
Ooh, that was scary.
meanwhile, Clem had double turret in the natural, so these mutas kind of taking some damage. They deny a couple of refineries, but Clem is kind of this game. He was much faster on taking his gas on the third base, so he isn't really super committed to this push forwards either, right? He's like teching up behind this, so he's not committing to just like 8 racks all in. He's already getting a fourth base, which he did pretty quickly in the previous games, but this is even faster again. And again, he's got that extra gas earlier, so as he pushes forwards, I love the setup, by the way. Widow mines and tanks. Talked about this yesterday. It's always difficult to kind of deal with both of those at once. As Solo doesn't really have any, well, flank on this at all. Widow mines are going to blow up a lot of the Ling Bane. I don't like this from Solo. He loses a lot of units, and Clem will instantly go up this ramp. I mean, Solo's going to turn back around to fight again. Widow mines need to try and burrow up. Marine's getting caught a little bit, and Clem got a bit too aggressive.
Yeah. Solo did actually end up saving quite a few banelings. Certainly enough that if the Marines ran forward on creep, that would exactly would happen. So absolutely, Clem just getting a little too overzealous. He's probably with you. You know, exact thought process like that was a good fight for me. Let's continue. And then
yeah,
not being able to escape, kind of get trapped in by his own units. Also, just is kind of a sucky situation. He's gonna try and continue to stay on the map though, which is just what was so good about his game in the first game. Is that he thinks he still has evacuation possibilities even with mutas, and he does, because the mutas are actually on the other side of the map, but they might get a lot of damage done. See, Widow Mine's burrow does actually kill all the mutas, but certainly threatens. And he just goes in the main. This is also going to distract Clem, so very possible he messes up on the front line. So far, keeping his army alive.
So far doing a decent job, but he's also losing all his missile turrets, so he is really taking damage to the mutas, and Solo's really able to get something done with this now. As we see, Widow Mine's going to get a good amount of drones on the top right-hand side, though. So that's going to be 7 workers killed. And it's those little annoyances that will start to go a bit better for Clem. You know, Solo is on 80 workers, though. So again, he's on that very comfortable count. I'm amazed at these mutas. Yes, they've done some damage across the board. They've picked off add-ons, etc. But they've not really done anything in terms of, like, eco damage, right? Like, the worker count is still up there from Clem. He only lost a couple SCVs during all of this.
Yeah, I think it's just going to be going into the late game, no one's really found whoops a daisy supreme damage. You know, even Solar not taking the opportunity with his supply lead to try and do like a foolhardy attack off of creep. Quite dangerous thing to do, especially since he's getting 3 regional glands, ultralisk, all that good stuff. Now he's gonna wait again just for another good defensive win, and then maybe you'll see a counter. Feeling so confident with his creep and army count on the ground, he once again goes to the natural with the mutas. Clem seems like he's had more back at home this time to deal with it, though.
Alright, Clem's pushing again, but I mean, it's kind of like a nice little time just before ultras are really coming out, but it's also like Solo's gonna, if he cleans this up, he's just gonna rebuild into ultras, and then he's gonna sweep across the map. Clem gonna get a 5th base up. He should be able to, you know, actually get into the 5th base very easily here, right? Because you just take that bottom left-hand side. Generally holding the forward base is a little bit tougher here, as we do see. Well, the Thor trying to get a few shots off. Clem is really, I mean, he's just sitting so far forwards with what feels like so little. And yet Solo takes a little while to really say, yeah, actually I can come in and fight this, and now maybe Clem says, actually I don't want to be here anymore. He's going to leave a few units behind as he loses the Thor, for example. The rest of his bio showing up here now, but again, he's not really set up to have a fight right away. He will burrow a couple of Widow Mines towards the back, and they do not go off on the Banes. It felt like they might. There's just too much from Solo as Clem gets pushed all the way back.
Very unideal fight for Clem. It was exactly what Solo was waiting for. Literally, I'll just take another good fight defensively, and then if he really screws up, I'll have a great counter. Exactly what happened. If Clem is given 2 more minutes, he'll probably recover. But Solar is already about to pop with 6 ultras. His upgrades are going to finish in like 40 seconds here. Clem doesn't really have 2 minutes. I wouldn't expect him to anyways. And it's not like his army is going to be very good anti-ultra armies. Like, he can't even afford Marauders apparently right now. His gas, once again, being his limiting factor. So he also can't afford Liberators to try and play some type of turtle game. This is absolutely momentum in Solar's favor. Clem has literally nothing else on the map. This follow-up with the Ultra is probably going to be the...
It's another game where it felt like Clem had some pretty good control, but again, just stepped that a little bit too far forwards in a moment, and all fell apart. And since then, Solo's been absolutely on top of it in terms of just keeping Clem back, not letting him get back in the game and keeping him so busy. Widow Mine here kills a few Lings as, I mean, these Ultras are ready to go. He's just waiting for 3-3 upgrades, which finish up now as well. And this is going to be very tough for Clem to hold. The only way he holds this is by giving up bases and kind of playing with this Sim City, which isn't exactly ideal in, you know, anyways, right? As these Ultras pick off all those SCVs in the top. Banes don't do too much, but you've already killed 24 SCVs in a base. You don't really need to do much more right now. Just wait for your next round of Ling Bane to come across. There's those ultras. They might. Okay, they're just wandering around trying to figure out where to go. Clem's going to type out GG because he knows this isn't going anywhere for himself, and Solar will take a third map of this best of 5, and he goes up onto match point.
If it was Mario, it would have been triple.
Yeah. Yeah, I know that feel. Alrighty, kicking us off in the top left-hand side, our red Terran player, it is Clem.
In the bottom right, as the blue Zerg, is Solar.
Simulacrum for our map number 4. We saw Uthermal on this map really prioritizing those attacks down the bottom side into that kind of high ground position into the 4th. And that is a very strong position because of the high ground attacking down. It's the perfect sort of size where you can retreat back and the Zerg has to push through a choke. It's hard for the Zerg to come around and surround. And you can also just like trail a few units down to start harassing that 4th base. So we'll see if that's something Clem also plays towards here on Simulacrum or if he has other ideas in general. Tree and the natural expansion here from Solar.
I'm thinking that's what Clem's going to try and go for, but he has been doing a good job reading the situation in the early game. So he saw that there was fast bailing speed, no 4th base. He actually didn't play so aggressive with an actual push. Add on those Thors. Like, yeah, if he sees the opportunity to do the push, that's exactly, I think, what we'll see it happen. But he has been willing to change up in that mid game. It's more just as the action gets started, he kind of gets like rolled into it and just can't, almost like he can't stop himself, man. Which, to be clear, it's not just him wanting to be aggressive player, right, as a characteristic. It's also that's like what you are, that's your obligation as a Terran, is try and keep up the pressure all the time. So yeah, like there's a reason he's doing it. He just is being maybe a little overzealous on it. Solar, on the other hand, is playing as an experienced player of StarCraft 2 for at least 8 years. You'd expect. Like, he's changing things up. He's doing different builds. He's adapting the situation. He's learning from his mistakes. He's realizing that the typical things aren't working anymore, like those ling drops, ling run bys. And just playing really smart and quite defensive until he has the perfect opportunity to attack. And that's what's making Solar a really great player now, I think, too. Because he had a couple of peaks, did pretty well in the WCS, or DreamHack, I guess it was called back then. But, like, would always kind of, like, have, like, a 50-50 chance of making it to the finals or going out in the round of 16 of an online cup, But now he's just doing consistently well, so... I think he's just a very smart player to learn from right now. And Clem is that guy that if you want to try and, like, burst your wrists and... be 500 APM and be the coolest Terran around, then you want to be like Clem. But if you want to be wise and win things, be more like Solar.
See how much Clem wants to bust his wrists here in game 4 with the movement to bio already happening. Tech Lab on the rack, Starport gonna finish. Just looks very similar to before, right? Maybe even literally the same build, perhaps. No, ooh, okay, look, Banshees. It's a bit of a way to change it up.
Alright. Solar again goes for Overload speed. It's like last game. Should be able to see this. He's already been getting Spore Crawlers. They're really safe thing to get, honestly. One in the main and one in the third is kind of a safe call. So it will help against Liberators, Battlecruisers, and Banshees. So I'm not too worried about him taking damage from this. It's gonna be a Viking first. And then start Cloak. It makes the Banshee time up with Cloak, but he's actually not starting Cloak at all. So is there something? Oh, it's the armory. So yeah, it's the fake tech lab. But the problem is because of Overlord speed, you just see this right away, right? So Solar goes in. Yeah, he even turned away because he didn't actually click on the armory, and then he clicks it again. So now he knows it's an armory. So Solar just instantly starts up a Rotron saying, well, yep, you're going to be aggressive. And now we see Cloak start. And I wonder if you just go, do you still commit to the armory? Maybe to sell the idea that it is just the Hellbats, and then you just go for the Banshee afterwards. It's like a, haha, got you kind of thing. So, let's see. I mean, there's no harm in kind of still pressing forwards with the Hellbats, still trying to do something, but it is likely to be cleaned up. I think what's important is that you don't cut any SCVs or anything to try and make this happen now, right? Like, you don't go all out. You just take it maybe a little bit more calm overall. A drop is a kind of clever way to try and make something happen here, but Solar's Ling literally passed underneath the medevac.
Yeah.
Such unfortunate timing.
Yeah,
And this should be just taken care of by pulling the drones and the roaches pop, right?
yeah, a few Hellbats on the third base. Might get a queen if that's, Solar wasn't paying attention, but believe it or not, Solar kind of is. A couple of Hellbats got morphed in, and yeah, they just got shut down the main base. So Solar's seen that coming. Good information for him. Again, no real way to deal with a Banshee just yet, apart from Queens and an incoming Overseer. But so there might be some hope here from Clem to get something done. Obviously, his first Banshee's not here just yet, though. And Solar is coming back around the top of the map with this Overlord. He's not rescouted the starport yet, so he doesn't see Cloak researching at all. But he will still see a Tech Lab starport building, so it might be an assumption he can start to make. As Hellbat's going to try and go back in towards the main.
I do like this, but we'll see how effective it is. Mech from... I mean, he was already delaying it super hard, the potential stim timing with Armory, with Banshees and Cloak. But you can still try and do it afterwards. It would be very, I think, an efficient thing to do. But no, it is into that mech. And that's going to have to change Solar's idea of the game a little bit. He can still go with maybe his initial plan. He obviously has a Roach Warren, so he doesn't have to feel too pressured to add that on quickly. Already got them. They're already defending the Hellions. But it's that Spire choice that I'm like, well, maybe he was like planning on doing that. And he's like, you know what? I'll still do it. Because there's still something to be said about early Spires against mech, even Cyclone mech, which Solar, Clem actually might go into tanks after this because he's seen roaches, which in 2 Cyclones does not beat 8 mutas.
Let's see what else he sees. Where is the Spire? It's in the back of the third. It's kind of a hard place to get to. He does cancel off the 4th base. In fact, was that a kill? Yeah, he kills the Hatcher on the 4th. So that's nice with the 2 Banshees, but then Queen's coming forwards. He's kind of fighting the couple of roaches that are out here with these Hellions. But he's not going to kill enough to realistically go up the base and, justify going into the 3rd, I don't think. So, yeah, he's going to be a little bit blind. It depends how many mutas there are, because, if you've got like 4 to 5 Cyclones and you can get lock-ons to a bunch of different mutas, it is scary enough, I think, to push those away.
Yeah.
So,
as long as you're going into Cyclones, which he actually is. Like, this is not the, oh, I'll make a couple
and
in
then
case.
Tanks, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. No, he's I mean, he's not seen that many tanks anyways, and Cyclones do fine against early Roach numbers, and they'll do fine against. So I'm not worried about the mutas so much anymore. They can still get some serious damage done just by being a surprise, but now, what about this damage here? Banshee combination with these units is pretty brutal. No Overseer on the front lines yet.
No, nothing here just yet at all. You're going to see those roaches continue to move around, getting picked away at the moment. They're going to see the Banshees actually escaping way out over to the left-hand side, as well as Middlers will clean up the Banshees, so that will fall, obviously, the Overlord speed from earlier, helping a chase. So 2 Banshees get picked off. The thing is, though, now you know about the mutas, so you can sort of set up an engineering bay a little bit faster. You can bring the Cyclones home, even though, okay, actually make sure my Cyclones repaired as well, because I need everything I can get here. Just lose that medevac, but not sure how much more the mutas will really do, as Solar, 70 drones and just going into a lot of Roach Ravager. I may just try and make something happen with 1-1, because if you're scaring your opponent into a lot of Cyclones, then there isn't any siege tanks here to then deal with like a massive roaches on the ground afterwards.
And if they're not expecting the roaches on the ground, that mass attack, then they're set up defensively, where Cyclones don't have a lot of room to maneuver.
Yeah.
So, yeah, this actually could be the killing blow. Like, Clem, he's not adding on any tanks. Even 2 tanks help so much in the back lines. The Cyclones try and do their best. The Hellbats soak up the damage. And just having no tanks whatsoever is it's getting me scared. But Clem, if he finds this, which he's not until literally just now, he can try and get the damage started. That changes things up, but it's such a late scout on this.
Yeah, he sees it so late. He's going to have already a couple Cyclones. Somehow just about able to get away, but this is so much Roach Ravager. He is at least going to have Magfield Accelerator finish, which is something that really did only just finish as well. I want to drop these depots so he can kite away a bit more easily as also here. There's just so many more roaches on the way as well. So the follow-up of this is just going to be more and more roaches. And Clem is getting picked apart right now. He was not ready for Solar to just max out on Roach Ravager. And so, like, yeah, there's just nothing here at all. He's going to try and build some Liberators. It's going to be too much. And Solar will get the GG and will take this series down, advancing through to the semifinals. After a very hopeful first couple of games from Clem, it just teetered off towards the end and kind of felt like he ran out of steam a little bit. Maybe those wrists started hurting a bit